Hello there, and then welcome to a brand new video. In this lesson, we are looking at sets and operation on sets, and we are specifically solving this question you see here on your screen. So without much ado, let's quickly look into it. Now it says 25 students in a class took an examination in mathematics and then science. 17 of them passed maths, 17 of them passed in science, and then 8 passed in both mathematics and science. 3 students did not pass in any of the subjects. We have to find how many students pass in mathematics. And then secondly, we have to find the probability of meeting a student who passed in one subject only. So we first need to write out our parameters, you see. So let me quickly write that out. So I'm going to say, let's let U be the total number of students. And then M is then going to be the student who passed mathematics. S is going to be student who passed what? Science. So with these parameters written, we can then say that the total number of students is what? 25 from the question. So we have our 25 here. And we know, do we know the number of students who passed mathematics? No, we don't. So it says 17 of them passed in science. So the number of students who passed in science is then going to be 17. 8 passed in both maths and then science. So the number who passed in what? Maths and science is what? 8. And then 3 students did not pass any of the subjects. So for any, that is a complement. And we denote that by M union S prime. You see, that is what? 3. Now, even though we've not been asked to represent this on a Venn diagram, it will be best we do so that we'll have a visual representation of what we are trying to do. Now, in view of that, we need the total number of students who passed in what? Who took the maths as well. So we are going to say, let the number who took maths or who passed in maths, let's just let that be any variable at all. So let's just say X. You see, so with that now we can form our Venn diagram. So with our Venn diagram, then I'm going to need my 2 circles, or let me say ovals, that I'm going to use to represent the 2 subjects. So something like this. And then my rectangle, which is going to be the universal set. So if you have something like this, I think you'll be fine. So we now write out all of these over here. So we said the universal set was made up of what? 25. So you write that over here. And then if we let this circle here be our science, so the number of students who did what? Passed in science is 17. And we have said that the number of students who passed in maths is going to be X. So we put that over here as well. We have our X. And we have our intersection to be 8. So you put your 8 here. We know the intersection is the set that belongs to both S and then M. And it's represented by this region over here. I have more tutorials on that. And you can look at the playlist just for explanation and then insight. Now, if you have 18 over here, we are also saying that this whole circle here represents the number who passed in science. Meanwhile, we have already picked out 8 of it to be in the intersection. So what that means is what remains here is 17 minus 8. And 17 minus 8 we know gives us a 9. So we just write our 9 over there. Then we come here and say that we know the total number who passed in maths is X. But 8 has already been taken. Hence what we have here, we have X minus 8. So this here is then going to be your Venn diagram. But then take note, we're giving the complement to be 3. So you come here, you then put your complement, which is 3, outside here as well. You see, and with that, you are done with your Venn diagram. Now, the first part of the question says, how many pass in mathematics? So that is where you are going to need your equation to solve for that. So let's look at how we are going to do that. Now, for that particular question, there are a lot of ways we can do it, depending on how well you do understand your Venn diagram. You see, if you want a more direct approach, then you realize that the universal set over here, which is made up of 25 people, is the sum of everything you have here plus everything you have here plus all of this, and then plus the complement as well. That is, we don't even need these that are written up here, you see, because we know all of this represents this whole circle, and all of this also represents this whole circle. But our focus is just to take this, add it to this, and then also to this, and then here, then equate it to 25. So we can start by saying from our Venn diagram. So from our Venn diagram, then 9 plus 8 plus x minus 8, then plus the 3 is giving us a 25. Where did we get our 9 from? This is it over here. So this portion plus this portion, then plus this portion over here, which is our x minus 8, then plus our 3 should give us 25. And all you need to do now is to make x the subject, you see. Now, just by looking at what you've written here, you realize that this x, this negative 8, cancels out the positive 8. And with that, we'll be left with our 9, then plus 3. So plus 3 plus x, giving us what? A 25. And we know 9 plus 3 here gives us a 12. So we have 12 plus x, which is equal to 25. So making our x the subject, we have our x, which is equal to 25, then minus this you have here. So our x then is equal to what? A 13. As 25 minus 12 gives us a 13. But take note, we said our x was what? The total number of students who passed in mathematics. And that is what we've been asked to what? Solve for. So we conclude by saying, therefore, 13 passed in what? Maths. As simple as that. Now let's look at the second question. It says, find the probability of meeting a student who passed in one subject only. Who passed in one subject only. To do that, I would want us to redraw this Venn diagram. You see, since we already have our x, so let's do that, and then we have a clear picture of what we want to do. So since we already have our x, I'm just going to clean all of this and then clean this as well. And then I'm going to replace that with our 13. And you remember we had x minus 8 over here. So 13 minus 8 here becomes 5. You see. Now, to answer the second part of the question, which says how many passed only one subject, you need to understand the various portions. So this side here passed in science, but then specifically only in science. You see, and then this side here, some passed in science and then also passed in mathematics. So they have passed in 2 subjects. Whilst this here is only in maths. So if you want the number of students who passed in only one subject, that is, then we are going to add the number of students who passed in only science, which is 9, to the number of students who had passed in just or only maths. You see, that is 5. And that gives us a 14. But we don't just want the number, but then we want the probability. You see, and we know the probability now is going to be the number of events over the sample space. In this case here, then our sample space is actually 25. You see, so the probability of this event we are talking about, the event being the number of students who passed in just one subject, is then going to be what? The number of students who have passed in just one subject, which is 14, over 25 over here. You see, and that is just it. You see, so out of the 25 students, if you want to just meet someone who has passed in just one subject, then the number of students are 14. You see, and hence that probability is going to be what? 14 over 25. So that ends this particular session and it ends this question as well. So I'll post out some questions you can try on your own. So these are the questions you can try on your own. They are just 3. And I do hope that if you have really understood all that we have just done, then you should be able to what? Approach this question. This is Hub Beyond Numbers, where we learn maths the easy way. If this is your first time, you can subscribe. That is if you so do wish, so that anytime I release a video, you'll be notified as well. See you in our next session and then stay blessed. Bye for now.